Back in 2017, I was approached by SEMrush to host a series of webinars for them, and I'm pleased to say that they were very happy with them. So they asked me to host and produce a podcast, which I called Marketing Scoop. Marketing Scoop was a great success. We took on a co-host, Judith Lewis, and we built the show up to thousands of downloads per episode. Here's an example of one of the episodes. Marketing Scoop Season 2, Episode 35, How to Grow a Really Popular Marketing Blog. Brought to you by SEMrush, this is the last episode of Season 2 of Marketing Scoop. I'm David Bain.
And I'm Judith Lewis, and welcome to the SEMrush show that reveals the latest digital trends and technologies that impact your marketing strategy.
Together with industry experts, we delve into SEO, advertising, and content marketing to uncover the ultimate recipe for digital marketing success. Hello and a warm welcome to the last episode of Marketing Scoop that I'll be co-hosting. Season 3 will be upon you soon, and that will be time for something completely different. In the meantime, do you run a blog that covers the topic of marketing? Have you struggled to gain traction and drive hundreds or thousands of regular readers? If so, this is the podcast episode that you need to listen to.
In fact, joining us for the final episode of Season 2 is a handstand pro and a man with an ability to apply his technical skills to marketing projects and ensure improved ROI in terms of more effective delivery of projects, more leads, and more sales. Howdy, howdy, howdy to the founder and of marketing services firm Razor Social, and of course the popular Razor Social blog.
Well, thank you.
Be very welcome, Mr. Ian Cleary. Sorry.
Clearly. I was going to say you were doing great research, find me out a handstand, but then you called me Clearly.
Clary. It's not like I didn't spend a huge amount of time drinking with you either.
That's true. That's a different podcast. Yeah, that's a different story.
People I've drunk with. So it's great to have you on, Ian.
Thanks,
Cleary. Let's start with the most important question today, of course. Tell us about those handstands.
The handstands. Well, I'm mad into calisthenics, and calisthenics is all about body weight exercises. So I pick off one of the difficult things to do, and I spend months doing it. So handstands was one of my things. So doing a freestanding handstand. So I probably do about 20 or 30 seconds now, but a few months ago, I couldn't do it at all. So, So I'm just picking off different ones. My next one at the moment is basically it's up on the bars. It's doing chin-ups on the bars and stuff, but it's doing a front lever. So you hold yourself up in the bars and you hold your body straight out. It's really hard, but I'm training for it for months.
Wow. And you could do that on a pole too and become your own pole dancer. It's great.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Why not? Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, calisthenics my thing,
That's awesome. So the reason, of course, that we're here talking to you today is the Razor Social blog. So it's often actually been named as one of the top digital marketing blogs. Is that something that just happened, or did you have goals for it to have a big audience and be recognized as one of the best in the industry?
Yeah, I did have goals at the very start. So when I started the blog, it was basically I was based in Ireland and I wanted to build an international audience. And I thought a blog would be a good opportunity. So my background before I drifted into marketing was technology. So I worked in a lot of software companies. So I knew a lot about technology, and I actually done a lot of work around social media. So combined the two of them, and the blog initially was about social media tools. Now, I did do research on all the different social media blogs, and everybody in social media had a blog. So there was so many blogs, I need to do something different. So the site stood out because it was very focused on the tool side of things, the technical side of things. There was no other blog really focused on that. But yeah, my goal actually was to get on stage at Social Media Marketing World. That was my first goal. And I thought the blog would be a route to do that. And that happened. So yeah.
That's incredible. That's amazing. My first and only goal with the blog was to get free chocolate, which I also achieved. So, hey, we're goal setters and achievers.
Absolutely.
But what our podcasting audience is going to want to know is what the key things were that you have specifically done to make it so popular. So what are some of the things that maybe some of our podcast listening audience can take away with them as things to try or do in order to make their own blogs more popular?
Okay, so when I started probably about 8 years ago, I didn't know a lot about SEO or content marketing or any of that. But I did know a lot about technology and some about social media. So when I started the blog, started producing really quality content. I really spent a lot of time producing high quality content, good unbiased reviews of technology, good detailed posts that were useful and valuable to the audience. And then I started looking at all the influencers in the social media space. And I knew the blog wouldn't really take off. It was just me sitting here in Ireland blogging. So, and at that time, I didn't know enough about SEO to go, oh, I'm going to go link building and I'm going to optimize it and it's going to grow like crazy. So I started going to conferences, social media conferences, and I stalked all the top social media influencers there. I said it on a live podcast. So I followed them around to different conferences to build relationships with the influencers, and they got to know the blog. And then I started sharing their content. They started sharing my content, and then became known. Like within 6 months of launching the blog, I was in the top 10 blogs in Social Media Examiner. So I had met Mike Stelzer. I'd built a relationship with him. They got to know the blog. I started writing for Social Media Examiner. And of course, that writing at Social Media Examiner was a high profile site, and mine wasn't. So I was getting good at building good brand. I was building good links back from Social Media Examiner. And just a funny story is that when I met Mike at a conference, he said, listen, we have an opportunity to write a technology tools related article on Social Media Examiner. Can you send me in 3 good articles when you go home? And I said, sure, no problem. But at that stage, I didn't have 3 good articles. And the next day after I was coming home, I was flying out on holidays with my family. So the first 3 days of my holiday, on a sun holiday, I stuck inside the apartment and I wrote 3 really long detailed posts. And then I got my opportunity to write for Social Media Examiner at the very early stage. So, you have to great content, but building the relationships was really important. And those relationships meant that the blog grew a lot quicker, So I didn't initially focus on link building. I focused on the relationships. The relationships led to opportunities for guest posting on all these high authority blogs, which helped build the brand, build my name, and get valuable links back to the site as well. And then on the back of that, it started growing. And then I started getting more links. And then I started getting into SEO. And I mean, I'm not the top expert in SEO. I know a good bit about SEO, but I'll never be the top expert. But I knew enough to optimize my title tags.
So, Ian, in terms of the content that you chose to write about, what you're saying effectively there is that you went to these events and you didn't have too much in your blog beforehand, and then you took direction from leaders at these types of events on which content to write. Would you say that's how you actually selected the content to begin with, or did you actually have a method of selecting content before then?
Yeah, I mean, I set out an editorial calendar and I was publishing 3 times a week at that stage. I was very much focused on the social media tool side of things. So I was looking to see what the other sites were writing about in relation to tools and what they were saying about it. And the tools that were coming up quite regular. For example, Agorapulse was a relatively new tool around that time, but people were starting to talk about it. So then I would take that and I'd start using it, and then I'd start writing about, what I seen was good or bad about it. So I did look at what they were writing about in the blogs, what was coming up regularly across the blogs, and then start writing in some of that content. So it was reading and connecting with these influencers gave me ideas. And then over time, because you become known in a certain area, then a lot of the social media tool providers would start emailing me saying, hey, would you write about this? And that would be an opportunity to find out about more tools.
And why did they want you to write about it as opposed to other people? Were you doing things slightly differently compared with bloggers? I mean, I look at your blog nowadays and I see that your posts tend to be quite lengthy, quite extensive. Is that something that you've always done?
Yeah, it is, and then my blog has evolved from social media tools into marketing and with a technology slant because I got a bit bored writing about tools, social media tools all the time. But I did write detailed posts. And if you look at any of the top posts were always the longest posts. And they were the ones that got the most shares and things as well. So if you look at BuzzSumo and say what got the most shares, it was the longer detailed posts. So my latest post on Razor Social is 6,000 words because, to really stand out now, it's harder and harder to stand out. So, and I enjoy writing the detailed posts. Now, when I was doing the guest posts, you talk about like, oh, is guest posting good or bad? Any post I wrote in Social Media Examiner was at least 3,000 words. So every single guest post, I spent at least a day writing a post for Social Media Examiner because I knew I had to put my best foot forward. And that was a great way, like a brand building and getting really good links because they end up popular posts, on their site as well.
That's incredible. Wow. I know that there's a big debate in the SEO community about what the right length of content is and what the best type of content is. And clearly you're finding longer form content being much more, I guess, engaged with as well as performing better for you.
Yeah, what I say to people is, a lot of times people say, oh, is the length of the content? Well, it's the quality of the content. But for me, I can't write a masterpiece in 200 words. It's just never going to happen. Maybe Seth Godin will write a masterpiece in 200 words and everybody will link to it and everybody talk about it. For me, the type of stuff I'm writing about in marketing and technology, a lot of it is people want the detail. So that's why I end up going into detail. So it doesn't have to be, a blog post may not be the best thing to do. You might build a utility or build, get your programmer skills out and start building something. It's all about being useful and valuable. It just happens my best way of producing stuff that's useful and valuable on a regular basis is writing that detailed content.
That's amazing. But I guess being useful and valuable does take a lot of research and a lot of understanding of what people need and what people want. How do you actually go about researching content for your new posts?
Yeah, I mean, I use tools like SEMrush to identify and work out in terms of what are the hot keywords and topics that are coming up on a regular basis. And then I'd look at going, well, can I write a detailed post that's broad enough to cover a core topic and all the various, keywords related to that? So, using tools, SEMrush would be one of my favorite tools to use for identifying that. So I am, on forums, I'm reading other people's articles, which would start off the bones of an idea, but I'll always back that up with research and say, well, are people actually searching this? Is this popular enough to write, a topic about it? I was looking today, and it's not something I'm going to write about, but it was like how to edit a video. Okay. And how to edit a video was 4,000 average searches in the US. And I was doing some work for wave.video, and I was thinking, I wonder if they've written an article on how to edit a video. So I searched their site and I seen they weren't ranking for that, but they did a good detailed article. So then I go and see, okay, well, what's the links to that article? And then I was going to reach out to them and say, hey, you should really be ranking for this article. So maybe if you add a little more content in, do a little more promotion, do a little bit of link building, and they sell video software. So it makes sense to rank. So
Is that a way that you try and develop new clients? Is that someone who is a client of yours already?
yeah, they're a client, so I do
Okay.
work with them. So it's that I didn't. It's not part of the deal or anything, but I just saying that was one that's valuable that they should rank for. So I'm always researching, and when I'm working with different clients, I will look for opportunities for them to drive more traffic and stuff as well.
So what about traffic to your own blog? Is that something that's changed a lot over the years? Different sources of traffic? What tends to be the biggest source of traffic to your site at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the organic traffic is the biggest source of traffic. There was a lot more social traffic. I mean, at one stage, at the early stage, the first couple of years, I was averaging over 1,000 shares a blog post. Now I'm down to a few hundred. There's a combination of factors of that. One is, well, people don't share it nearly as much as they used to. There was a lot of automated sharing going on years ago, and that doesn't happen near as much. And also, I'm not blogging near as much, and my focus is, I'm doing too much work with clients and stuff to focus on the blog. And to be honest, at the start of Razor Social, I was spending a good bit of time growing and developing that blog. And then as I got busier and busier, it's harder to invest that time in it.
Wow. So are you tempted to give up blogging on your own site? And if you did, would you still do social, or would you actually just pull back from that public face altogether and just focus on client work?
Interesting question. No, I definitely won't give up blogging, because blogging is a good way for me to actually tease out and learn a topic. And I like to blog about what I'm working on. So for example, for the last couple of projects, I've been working on some digital transformation projects where companies have come to us and said, hey, we're rebuilding 10 websites and we want to enable e-commerce and the whole lot. And we have an agency, but we want somebody to, on our side, that's able to talk the language of the agency and go, this is what we want for SEO. This is what we want for the payment integration. This is what we want for the conversion side to drive that. So I have a post lined up that's about 4,000 or 5,000 words about its project management of marketing projects. So I do enjoy writing about it. I do enjoy the profile it brings. I do, Judith, we were talking earlier on, I got an email about, hey, do you want to speak in Cyprus in October? And it's 27 degrees in Cyprus in October. That's the first thing I looked up because I thought my wife might want to go. So I love the profile. I love the brand building. You'll never know. Some of your clients don't say, oh, I was reading your blog content and that's why I contacted you. It's not just that, but it's a combination of factors. And having that brand is really important. So, if I stop blogging completely and stop building the brand and doing all the free stuff that takes time and you don't see direct revenue back from it, then I think it would be damaging in terms of overall business.
And do you focus specifically on trying to build up a community as well, Ian? I mean, I noticed that you don't appear to have any comments on your blog posts at the moment. Did you used to have comments on there? Or, why perhaps do you not have that anymore? And are there other places that you go to try and foster that that discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I switched off comments probably about a year ago. I got sick of the spam, to be honest. It was just the vast majority of people were just looking for links. So they're inserting all sorts of links back. And then it was like I was going, is this a real comment or not? So I switched that off. So in terms of, I still engage with people across on Twitter and Facebook and the different channels. I haven't gone down the route of like a Facebook group or a Slack group, but there are a lot of different groups I'm a member of with a relevant audience. So I'd be jumping in, answering questions and interacting. So to keep attention from the relevant communities.
That's incredible. Wow. It's I think very difficult for people to build up a community like that. And I do understand about the spam. I will make no comments about the spam on the blog. Yeah. 3 of my bots, what can I say? But it's really important, and I think blogging is one of those things that can very quickly fall by the wayside. But like you say, it's really important that you keep it up because you never know when a client is going to come or a lead like this Cyprus speaking opportunity is going to come from your blog. You never know when it's going to be like that. So what would your advice be to someone who might be listening to the podcast, they're thinking about launching a marketing blog? You're talking about spending a full day around writing an article. So you said 3 days, 3 articles. And also you spoke earlier about the time pressures and how it's taking away from work and balancing things. What would be your advice to someone doing this today? It sounds like a lot of work. What would be some of the quickest tactics to make it successful for somebody starting out new?
Yeah, I suppose, I would say to do less content or higher quality. So don't churn out 300-word articles and feel you're under pressure every week to deliver an article and you don't really put much effort into it. You just go, oh, write the article, done, move on to the next one. I would say step back and do a higher quality article that you sit back and go, I'm actually proud of that article, and do it every couple of weeks or once a month even, and then when you have that article, now start reaching out and really promoting it. You might do some email outreach to people. You might share it on social media channels. You might put a little money promoting it. So at the end of the day, you're marketing your business, and it's a way of marketing your business and building your brand. And you need to do that. You invest money in branding and you don't see the immediate return from that. And the blog helps build that brand, build recognition, demonstrate your expertise, and potential clients come to your site and read and go, wow, I'm impressed with this person. This is an amazing article they've written. Maybe I should contact them. So I would advise, that's just from me, maybe, due to my different opinions, because there's no right or wrong answer, but to me, it's right, less content, higher quality, and be proud of what you publish, and do it consistently. So if you're going to write an article every 2 weeks, then continue every 2 weeks. Or if it's every month, continue every month. And don't write lots of articles at the start and then give up. This is the going to a gym. You don't join, you go to a gym 3 days, 5 days a week the first few weeks, and then that's it. And that's nothing worse than that with a blog.
I think there's a lot of great ideas there. I'm a fan of the website Conversion Rate Experts. What they do is they publish a piece maybe just once every couple of months or so, but it's an incredible quality piece of content, and they let their audience know as soon as they've published it. And it's really extensive. It's thousands of words long, and similar kind of strategy to what you're talking about, Ian. We've got Carlos Castro. He's asked a question in the chat saying, how can you find a unique approach in blogging that allows you to stand out from the rest? Obviously, there are millions of blogs out there, and possibly thousands of blogs in just a niche industry. Yeah. Is it possible nowadays to launch a blog that's different compared with other blogs out there in that industry?
Yeah, it's certainly challenging. But I mean, at the time when I started the social media one, there was millions of social media blogs, but I identified the social media technology side. So there was an opportunity there. I mean, you look at some people where they, like you say about the conversion site there, they do an article every couple of months, but it's so good that, and there's a million conversion rate optimization blogs, but their ones stand out because of the quality, and they're not publishing that frequently at all. So I still think there's opportunities. There's other people that have focused on podcasting and then created a blog post on the back of that and focused building their audience through a podcast as well. So it can be a different format as well, or it could be in video where you really focus in on video. So I do think there's certainly still opportunities to stand out, but you need to do your research. You need to look at your competitors' blogs and see what are they producing and what's different. I'll give you another example. CoSchedule, they started a social media blog when social media, again, was very busy. But what they did was they look at the top ranking posts and they go, okay, can I come up with a different angle on the post? So if somebody has a blog post about, like, top blogging tips, well, they'll look for a slightly different angle. So they'll go, well, these are the things not to do, instead of if every post is about what to do. And then when they're reaching out, they get, at least it's a lot different than what's out there already. So yeah, it was a social media blog that just grew very quickly, even though there was a million of blogs out there.
And just one other related follow-up question. How long do you have to wait for before you can get a little bit of success? If you're talking about committing to publishing on a regular basis, is there a certain number of articles or length of time that you have to wait before you can expect to get a reasonable number of visitors, or is that different for everyone?
Well, I mean, if you write one article, one detailed article. I remember I was giving somebody advice. They set up a software company, and they wanted to start off the blog, and they wanted to get attention for the first blog post. So I advised them to write a group post, include some of the top influencers within their industry, and get a tip from each of them. So you've done 50 influencers, one tip from each. Then at the end of that, so these are people that have the audience he wanted to attract. And so they had a big audience and he didn't have any audience. He just reaches out after he posts that and say, hey, we've posted this article. Now, a lot of them will start sharing the article, and that'll drive visitors back. Okay, so you may not be ranking on the article. They may not link to the article, but you're getting visitors. If you're getting visitors, then you can start capturing email subscribers. And then email subscribers is a great promotion channel then for your next blog post. So you're building awareness, building attention, building your brand very quickly and getting known. All these influencers know about you, know what you do, and they're likely to share your content. So you can be smart about it. Get the influencers involved in your content, the people that have the audience you want to attract.
comes back to relationships, what you're talking about at the very beginning.
That's
Stalking people.
Yeah, stalking. Yeah, I mean, I love people. I love connecting with people. I love chatting to people, and so the relationship side was the easier one for me, rather than just sitting there optimizing stuff. Over time, I spent more and more time doing SEO and all that sort of stuff, but it was the relationships that's super important. And if you can build those relationships and your competitors don't have the relationships, that's a big advantage to you.
Well, time now for an actionable tip from Ian, related to or not necessarily related to what we've been discussing so far. So Ian, what is your actionable tip for today?
Okay, my actionable tip, I suppose we briefly mentioned email subscribers. So build that email database, because it's still super important. When you're writing detailed blog posts, we generally do is provide a summary of that post in a PDF format or a checklist, and we offer that within the post. And that drives a lot more conversion than just a generic opt-in. So if you create something that's directly related to that post, your conversion rates can be super high, because the majority of people to go to your website will never come back. So you need to capture those details. So capture it and focus on building that email list. And that's going to be a great channel to promote your content too.
Wonderful stuff. And is there any specific email marketing software that you can recommend that lets you do that really easily and have multiple different forms of call to action for different posts that you've got?
Opt-in Monster is the one I use, and Opt-in Monster is simple to set up, provides great options for split testing different opt-ins. You can have pop-ups and opt-ins within your post, and the right of your post and below your post, and so it has the full range. So Opt-in Monster is definitely the best tool I've come across.
Superb stuff. Yeah, I've certainly used that as well. And the great thing about Opt-in Monster is you can link it up with Zapier and other email platforms, so you're not tied with one email service provider there as well.
Yep.
Great. Okay, well, you can find Ian, of course, over at razorsocial.com.
And that was absolutely jocktastic. And I've got to say, hashtag, I can see clearly now the rain has gone. So there we go. That actually takes us to the end of season 2. As a wise man once said, the times, they are a-changin'. And in season 3, I'm going to be co-hosting the show with another gentleman soon to be named. In the meantime, I've been your co-host, Judith Lewis, and you can find me over at decapit.com.
And I've been your other co-host, David Bain. It's been a privilege and a pleasure to borrow your ears over the last 53 episodes. I'm sure that the scoop will go on upwards, onwards, and all the way forwards that you can possibly go, but I'm moving on to something different. You may recall that a few months ago, in conjunction with SEMrush and a few other top MarTech brands, I hosted a big live stream event series called Digital Marketing in 2019, getting 120 top digital marketers to share their number one actionable piece of advice for the year. And in fact, both Ian and Judith were part of that. So that live stream series is in the process of being turned into a book. If you want to find out more about the launch of that book and get the original video recordings for free, visit digitalmarketingradio.com. And of course, you can always connect with me on Twitter at David Bain or on LinkedIn/David Bain to find out more about all my other podcast hosting and podcast production shenanigans. Hashtag host for hire.
Hire him.
In the meantime, thanks for joining us for this one, dear listener. Until next time, be fantabulous and do one thing that scares you. And merci, Judith.
Merci beaucoup.
Bye-bye, everyone.